Welcome to the 4th annual Trudy Sundberg Lecture Series.
I'm really honored to be here to welcome you to the Trudy Sundberg Lecture. And we do really have a wonderful evening ahead of us. But I want to just take a couple minutes to introduce myself as the new executive director. And I started 5 months ago on December 3rd. And as Paul mentioned, I was previously with Hennepin County in Minnesota. So I've worked in libraries my entire career, and I am committed to the critical role that libraries play in the lives of individuals and communities. It may be finding just the right book, successfully completing homework, starting a new business, attending a program to learn a craft, or to learn about our world, or just simply a safe and warm place to spend some time.
I got to meet Trudy in 1987 when we were both working on a project to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the United States Constitution. And I found out that one of the best constitutional scholars we have here in Island County was Trudy Sundberg. She knew more about the Constitution than just about anybody I knew, and I learned a lot from her in that regard.
Chris is an artist and photographer based in Seattle. He's a former corporate lawyer. Chris is dedicated to raising consciousness through his art that illustrates the far-reaching and destructive impact of our everyday habits. Chris's work reaches a broad international audience through his exhibitions, books, website, interviews on radio and television, and speaking engagements and school visits all over the world. I cannot tell you how proud I am to present to you Chris Jordan. Chris Jordan.
I went there only to photograph the plastic. That's all I was interested in at the time. And it came on the heels of maybe 15 years of photographic work and other artworks that were all about looking into the maw of the beast of our culture of mass consumption. And I heard about this tragedy, and it was symbolic on so many levels. And there was something really personal about it. And I had craved for the longest time to be able to experience this global phenomenon on a personal scale. And kneeling over the dead bodies of these birds, there was the handfuls of plastic that were inside their bodies told the whole story. It was like this giant iceberg poking up in the most vulnerable and innocent and fragile place imaginable, inside the stomachs of baby birds in their nests on one of the most remote islands on Earth. And all you had to see is the tip of that iceberg and know where that bird is in the very middle of the world's largest ocean. And it kind of told the whole story in this really personal way. That's why I went to Midway, and that was my focus, was the plastic. And while I was there, I got to meet these unbelievably adorable and magnificent beings, the Laysan albatross. And as you saw, if you've watched the film, Laysan albatrosses, they're about the size of eagles. And they've lived on this island for more than 4 million years, and there's never been a mammal on the island other than us. They've never had a predator. And they have no fear of humans. And so they're as thick on the ground as you guys are in those chairs. Hundreds of thousands of these birds all over this tiny island. And when you walk out among them, not only do they not run away and fly away in fear, as creatures do just about everywhere else on Earth, but you see them, they're like, what's that thing over there? And then they start, this is their greeting, they bob their head and they start coming toward us. And they come closer and closer, and if you sit down, if you don't loom over them, if you stand up and sort of loom over them, then they just get a little agitated. They don't fly away, but you can see that they're like, whoa, okay, and then they turn around and walk away. But if you sit down and kind of keep your eye level low and don't look at them like too intensely, then they come closer and closer and closer. And I got to meet and experience something that was astonishing to me, was to be that close to these wild beings in their habitat, and to see how they snuggle together in their nests, and how tender they are with their babies, and how much communication there is going back and forth. There's this whole language that they have that's clearly just as sophisticated as ours. And I fell in love with the birds. And the teaching from that project was the name of the island, Midway. Midway. It was like this balance point, this teaching to yes, we have to look at the bad news. We can't turn away from all the bad news in the world. We don't have to amplify it with so much horror and despair. We can just say, yes, there are major problems in the world and we have to face them. But that's not the whole story. That's half, maybe less than half. And over here on the other side is the incomprehensibly amazing miracle of our world, the gift of life that each one of us has been given, and all of the good news, all of the plants and all of the animals and all of the ecosystems that are still healthy, that are doing okay. And so I felt like in that experience of making Albatross, it sort of morphed. At the beginning it was a horror story, and it moved into a love story. I think beauty might actually be the hardest thing of all for us to bear. We can, like, the human ego can persist in the presence of horror. We can bear horror. And in some cases, horror even makes egos stronger. You see that in, the bad guys. But beauty, like to be out under, we've all had this experience, to be out under an amazing sky of stars, or to be in a canyon that you can just palpably see the hundreds of millions of years and intuitively experience. Or, just on Whidbey Island, seeing the spring, the emergence of spring, the incredible beauty that's happening there, it's crushing. It's this crushing experience. It's just, and that's my favorite experience in the whole world. It's what I live for, is that experience of just the evaporation of whatever I thought I was, and beholding the incomprehensible complexity and magnificence of our world. And it's so weird because that's the part we forgot. Like, it's so obvious that we forgot it. It really is like the water that, they say that fish don't know they're swimming in water. The magnificence of our world and our own life, and not only a forest. Okay, a second growth forest is degraded, but you walk out, and if we know everything we know scientifically about what's going on at the cellular level, inside leaves and inside the mycelium, all of the stuff we know scientifically, a single plant is an unbelievable miracle. And an even degraded second growth forest is an impossibly complex miracle. Part of this paradigm is, that we're all stuck in, is there's only two things to talk about: the problem and solutions. Solutions. And everybody's sick of hearing about the problem, and specifically with ocean plastic pollution. Everybody thinks they already know the whole problem of ocean plastic pollution, so no one wants to hear about the problem anymore, so everybody wants to jump straight to solutions. What are the solutions? Everybody's talking about solutions, as if individual people can have an effect on a global issue like ocean plastic pollution. And to me, that entire conversation it's so broken. Because those little solutions, like get a metal straw, even if everybody in the world did it, would make an infinitesimally tiny difference to the actual problem. And so we have to get past that entire conversation. And I don't want to be the guy that lives in denial. Of course, we have to know the facts, we have to face the facts, and we got to research our facts. Sometimes I hear people saying what they think are facts, and they're not facts. There's not a giant swirling patch of plastic in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, for example. I've sailed across it. I was in that patch, and you see one piece of plastic way over there and one piece of plastic way over there. So we have to face, I agree, we have to face the facts, and our marketing scheme, if we want to change people, our marketing scheme is failing. It's like Coca-Cola. It's like, imagine if Coca-Cola said, "God damn it, all you assholes, drink our Coke." Like, that doesn't work. Pounding does not work. So we have to get past it if what we really want is to achieve the change that we know that we're all capable of.